I've been an artist for most of my life. My grandmother has things laminated from when I was 6 years old. And I've gone through a lot of different phases as far as what different artists and different styles I've been influenced by. Started out with, the clumsy realism that you get when you're a kid. And then from there into high school, I kind of came into more of an impressionistic phase of my work. And of course now some of my greatest art heroes are, of course, Picasso. You can't leave him out of anything. And my new favorite is Frida Kahlo. I really appreciate her work, and I can see some similarities in what I'm doing. And but as an artist, I started getting really frustrated with realism. I mean, especially doing landscapes really don't do it for me as far as the passion that an artist needs to convey. And so just a sense of frustration that I can look out my window and see something so beautiful that I can't improve on it as an artist. And one of the big turning points in my style was a figure drawing class that I took. And it's kind of an interesting story. We had a model one day that I didn't think was very attractive. And I didn't want to put the effort into making a realistic drawing of someone I didn't find attractive. So I decided to have fun with it and just doing these crazy lines and putting things in places they didn't really belong. And that was a real turning point for me as an artist, because it really freed me up. Because you get the mindset is, it's the same for the person that knows they can draw as the person who says I can't draw. Is that it has to look a certain way, and art has to be this is art, this is not art, all of that stuff. And so that was really my first step as far as being an experimental artist. And then just ever since I moved here, all the minerals is just fascinating. And just about 5 years ago, I started really thinking seriously about trying to make art materials out of it. And so I started with a handful of colors, mostly the red clay, and of course mica is everywhere in here. That comes in sheets, it comes in sprinkles, sometimes it's gold. But I started with a very limited color palette at first. It was mostly the red tones, the oranges and yellows, and then of course black and some white and gold. And as I expanded my search for natural pigments, I've also begun to branch out into every color imaginable. And many of these are actually local. I've been able to find green and in so many different shades. It's just amazing the wealth of color that is available just right out the backyard. And being a starving artist has its advantages because dirt is cheap. And so that was really, it's always been a real plus for me that even in bad times I could still keep working because I had the materials. Just wherever I looked I could find them. And also since I'm experimenting, you take a lot of chances when there's no rules for what I'm doing. And while I have taken some studio art classes at the college level, when I started getting into the earth painting, I had to throw all of those notions of how art is created and what it's going to look like out of my head, because it was terribly frustrating to work in what was at first a very clumsy medium, that the detail was very difficult to get, and it was very easy to be frustrated when you have a mindset of what something is supposed to look like. So as I've allowed myself to take risks and just do things and not even worry about what it's supposed to look like, and really I've been able to tap more, I think, into the feeling that I need to express as an artist. And so that in itself has just been a wonderful, freeing opportunity. And also it totally changes your whole perspective on the world. I mean, like people talk about seasonal affective disorder, where they get depressed when all the colors go away in the winter, but they're still there. In fact, I've come to really love winter because you can see all the different colors in the hillsides and in the patches of earth that are normally hidden, and that there is just so much amazing color everywhere. right here I have, I believe these are burning bush leaves. They've been dried in the fall. These are wild rose leaves. This is, I believe that's gold ochre is what that is. There's all kinds of things in here, eggshells. This painting right here is a portrait that I did of my son Judah. And this is another piece that's done entirely in natural pigment. This bright pink color that you see right here is made with pokeberries. It's a weed that grows everywhere around here. And what I do is I mix it with a little bit of vinegar, and then I simmer it for a little while. I smash them up first, simmer it for a little while, and then I strain off the pulp and the berries. And then I simmer it for a little bit more, and what comes out of it is more like a dye. And this was also an interesting technique that I used in this, was that I put down the clear acrylic before I put in the pokeberries, and so we have kind of a resistance here where I've laid down some of the clear acrylic, so it gave me an interesting place to start from, and then I came in with the detail on all of these other colors. This is azurite. That's the only other thing I can identify. Well, no, this is mustard. So, well, this is Bird of Prey 1 and 2. This is another that's done in all natural materials. Now, I started out doing mostly what I could find here locally, and lately I have begun using harder minerals. Like this is lapis lazuli, which is the same thing that adorns King Tut's sarcophagus. This I can't remember what it's called. This is a local color, as is this right here, and of course there's some mica in there, which I use in just about everything, which is also very abundant locally. All right, this painting is of Calisaja Falls, and this is one of the most sculptural of my work so far. Since it's an experimental medium, I do a lot of expanding my techniques and trying out new things to see how they work. And this one was done using a lot more of knife work, where I would go in and get a fairly thick layer of the earth and the acrylic medium and just kind of sand it down to get it real smooth and file in some of the cracks in the rocks and some of the movement in the water. This one is also using a lot of different crystals that you can see in the details. Well, this right here is the most important tool for creating earth paint. This one is made out of granite, which helps. I've gone through many a mortar and pestle that's made out of a softer material than what I'm trying to smash. And what I do is I just take my samples and I beat on them. See? And what you have is this right here. Here are my oranges, and here I have my yellow oranges. I have my various array of skin tones. This is coral calcite, which is very nice. It has a very nice shimmer to it. I've also started incorporating some leaves, and these are found here locally. I collected them in the fall. I'm always tempted to use wildflowers, but my sinuses will not let me do that. Although this is another organic thing that's really interesting. This is just a low-lying grass-like weed, and these are its seeds. Different fragments of mica, which of course cannot leave out my very favorite. Yeah, this stuff right here is what inspired the idea in the first place, because it's absolutely everywhere around here, and it's just beautiful.